Thank you all for being here and welcome to the Bash. We're excited to have everyone in person. It's always rejuvenating for all of us to see all your faces and remember the people that we're doing this for. This morning we're going to go through a presentation with some updates of what's been going on in the museum, some financial information, and then we have a question and answer session, and I'll bring the board up for that towards the end of the presentation. And then we have a check presentation from one of our clubs. So stuff to get through in this first hour. All right. I'm going to apologize. I'm getting over a cold, so if you hear me sniffing, that's why. Now, I think most of you know me, but in case you don't, my name is Kay Wagner. I'm currently the chair of the board of directors. I'm ignoring the color code and going with my favorite color of blue. And they acknowledge that with the lovely ZR1 picture that's up there. No, I don't have one. I'd love one. Not sure who can make that happen. But again, if you don't know, I'm from South Dakota. I'm a member of the Sioux Falls Corvette Club. We do the Black Hills Corvette Classic, if that sounds familiar to you at all. I made this joke before, but it's still true. Yes, we do drive Corvettes in the Midwest, just not all year long. I will have the rest of the board come up and introduce themselves before the Q&A, so we will have that happen. Talk a little bit about the way our foundation is organized. I apologize if this is repeat, but for anyone who doesn't know or just as a reminder, the foundation is at the top, and then from that side from there we have the nonprofit side, and we have the for-profit side, which is the holdings company. That was created to manage our for-profit insurance and the motorsports park. There is a holdings company board of managers who are in charge of that side of the flow chart. Now, specifically back to the foundation board of directors, you can see up here the members of the board. In addition to that, listed at the bottom of the screen is what we call our working committees. So the activities of the museum that the staff is doing and managing so appropriately and so well that the board is helping in any way that we can. For those of you that wonder how do you get on the board, this is really a big part of it. This is the type of skill sets and things that we're looking for anyone interested in being a board member. This covers our key goals and objectives for the museum. So it's our education. Of course, you have to have finance. Earned revenue is anything that we're selling, like our store, the restaurant, that type of thing. Contributed revenue, of course, is the raffle and donations. Business integrations is everything from HR to security to IT. And then collections and acquisitions is, just like it says, the collections. So there are staff and board members on each of these committees, in addition to the awards and recognition, which is Hall of Fame, and then the nominating committee, which is how you get on the board. A few new faces to the board. Amy Masika has come on as our representative from GM. I don't think she's here yet. She's traveling, so she'll be here later today. So please say hi to her. And then I am going to take the opportunity to ask Mr. Ken Lingenfelter to stand up. New member of our board as well. I don't think Ken really needs an introduction. He's known to all of us, but we're very excited to have him on the board. He made it through his first meeting yesterday and all good, so. And speaking of new faces, we have some new staff. We're adding to our key leadership team. Now, one of these faces is probably known to some of you, Amy Harden. She worked for the museum for a couple years, then was drawn away to the hospital, which I can't blame her for with my own personal background, but fortunately wanted to come back to the museum. Miss Amy, are you in the room? Stand up, please. And then we have Andy Markham, who is our Director of Accounting. Andy, where are you? Andy has been spearheading a new software system and financial, and so I think the term is drinking from a fire hose, but doing a great job. And then, of course, our newest member of the leadership team is Andrea Bateman. You may know her from being executive assistant to the CEO, but Andrea has stepped in and really owned membership. Miss Andrea, where are you? She is. We heard from our members that they didn't feel, or that you didn't feel like you're having the same connection to the museum that you've had in the past. And having Andrea in that position was a big part of that. We want to make sure that there is a strong connection between all of you and all of us. One thing I'm going to go back and I forgot to do, if there are any former board members in the room, would you please stand up? Thank you very much for your time on the board. And then I'm going to ask any staff that are in the room that I didn't already introduce to please stand up. The people that make it happen. There you go. Lots of red shirts. Thank you, guys. We truly couldn't do this without all of you. And of course, can't forget the new staff member who really doesn't need any introduction. Bryce, please stand up. Bryce Burklow, our new CEO and president. We are thrilled to have Bryce in this role. We are ecstatic to see where he's going to take this museum, and we have the utmost confidence that it's going to be a great journey forward. Thank you, Bryce. Okay, a couple awards and announcements I wanted to go through. Our staff is amazing. You already know that, but just wanted to share a couple of things. So I have to make sure I get this right. The National Association of Automotive Museums gave out some awards. We got 3, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm explaining this right, there were the first 3 that are listed are awards of excellence, which is a recognition of the skills. So you can see we got one for the newsletters and magazines for America's Sports Car. We got one for the event and public promotions for the 30th anniversary caravan. And then for interpretive exhibits for the Ground to Sky, the Sinkhole Reimagined. In addition to that, we got a 4th award, really described as the Oscar of the awards, called the NAMI. In competition with museums like the Peterson and the Savoy, we got the best award for virtual programming, social media, and websites. That's a huge credit to our marketing team, our collections team. So every time that you see a post on social media that you're interacting with, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, and follow us on all of those if you aren't, but you can see the amazing work that team is doing. So thank you to Ryan and his team for that good work. Let's talk a little bit about membership. We're excited to say that we've seen an uptick in membership in the past year. So at the end of Q1 of this year, we were up to 42,800 members. At this same time last year, that's a 15% increase. So thank you to all of you that are members. Truly, the reason we're here is because of all of you and the love of the car that we all share. Now, I also know that for many of you, being a member means being a volunteer. Again, a group that we couldn't do this without. So I would like to ask anyone who's a volunteer to please stand up so you can be recognized. Okay, a little bit about what we consider our strategic objectives, or basically our guidelines for how we think about the museum, the foundation, and everything that we're doing going forward. First is AAM accreditation. That's basically a guidebook of best practices for how museums run. It gives us instructions on how to run our collection, how to do loans for our collection, financial criteria that we need to have, staff criteria that we need to have, education, really, like I said, the guidebook for how to be a museum. Next, we have become a cherished community asset. And that really is for the local Bowling Green community, which I think you've probably heard me say before. The last economic impact study we did, the museum had an $85 million impact on the Bowling Green community. But that's also the larger Corvette community, and being the place that everyone comes and considers to be their home. We're looking to grow and diversify our earned and contributed revenue streams. trying to think of new ways to have you guys come visit us, virtual programming you might be interested in, new donors that want to be part of the museum, refreshing relationships with donors, really making sure that we are being as broad in that approach as we can. Intentional collections growth, that's really looking at our collection and making sure that we are getting the pieces that tell the story, whether that's a car, whether that's a photo, a piece of paper, oral histories, that type of thing. But also making sure that we have room to store that and care for that artifact appropriately. Just having it is only a piece of it. You need to make sure it's maintained appropriately. So we try to take all of that into account. Targeting a new generation of Corvette enthusiasts. We all love this car. We all have the story of the first time that we got in the car, the first one we saw. We all have the story of the person who came and talked to us about their Corvette. And that's so much fun. It's one of my favorite things about doing all this, is all the people you get to meet. But I'm going to take a minute and tell you a story about a young woman that I met here at the museum last year, this event. Obviously, being a woman with a Corvette, you always want to encourage other women to do that and have that love of cars. But there's a lady here named Miss Emma. Where are you? Stand up for me, Miss Emma. She is a major gearhead racer. She loves her Corvette. She is planning to get a job as a mechanic this summer. She's taken all kinds of classes to learn how to take care of her own car. And she was kind enough to bring me this gift this morning. It's a brake rotor. And of course, it's blue because she knows me. So thank you, Miss Emma. It's so much fun to see that love that's already starting and just continuing to grow. And that's really the legacy for all of us, is sharing that love and making sure that it lasts well beyond all of us. And last but not least, developing a master campus plan, really considering the big picture when we're talking about any changes to exhibits, to the museum, to trying to bring the insurance company back on campus. All of those types of things are a long-term plan out in front of us. So there you know some of the ways that we use to kind of guide our approach. Let's talk a little bit about the 2024 annual report. I meant to bring one up here with me, I forgot, but they're over here on the table if you want to grab one. Literally hot off the press. They're also published on the website, and they'll be getting sent out to members in the next couple of weeks as well. If you haven't looked at last year's, those are also on the website, but please take a chance, take the time to look at these. It includes the usual things, of course, like financials, but there's also the highlights of the exhibits, changes and things that have happened in the museum, talks a little bit about the community impact study, as well as a welcome from Bryce and a letter from myself. Again, thanking all of you for all that you do for this museum and sharing the legacy with us. Let's talk a little bit about the financials. Again, this is from the annual report. So a little orientation to the slide. The bright red is the NCM. The gray is the holdings company, so that's a combination of the two for-profit companies. You can see on the far left of the slide is 2022, going across to 23, and then the most recent, 2024. You can see that we have a healthy balance at $22,187,000 for the museum, with expenses of around $19 million. And you can see that for the holdings company, over $9 million in revenue with $6 million of expenses. Now you're maybe wondering why there's been a downturn from 22, 23 to 24 as far as the revenue for the museum. A couple of key things. In 2022, we got a shuttered venue grant because that was during COVID. That's when we recognized the grant. So that reflects some of the money that's in that. And close your ears, Ray, but in 23, we had a full year of plant tours and photo albums, which we didn't have in 24. Poor Ray gets beat up in meetings whenever we have to talk about that. So. I will say in the board meeting yesterday, we got an update from the holdings company. They are knocking it out of the park, you guys. I can't say enough about how well Adam and Greg and their teams and the holding company managers are doing. Greg and Adam, are you in the room? Adam is back there. Greg is probably overdoing a driving school. We made him work this morning. Just continuing to find new ways to grow, new opportunities. Last year, they gave us a record cash distribution, and they're on track to have one of their best years ever. So congratulations to both of them. Okay, let's break it down a little bit more. This is all for the nonprofit side, so the museum side. This is total revenue. You can see obviously retail is a big part of that, and so is admission, so that's all of you coming through the gates, along with our visitors. Raffle, delivery, all the way down to food and beverage, gifts and donations, and facility rental. So a broad range of ways that we're bringing in revenue. And we'll break that down to the total earned revenue. So again, this is the things that we're selling, basically. Like I said, retail is a big part of that, then admissions and delivery. Some of the things from a facility rental standpoint, we have different community groups that will come in and use the facility. When I was here a couple weeks ago, the fire department was here. So I have to tell you, when you drive up to the museum parking lot and there are 24 fire trucks in the parking lot, your brain goes, what's going on? And then I said, well, Bryce isn't calling me, so it can't be too big of a deal. And I was very quickly reassured that it was not an emergency call. They were in the Chevy Theater doing a training session. So thank you for that heart attack, Bryce. I'm still trying to recover. All right. And then we have the contributed revenue. So these are our donations, memberships, raffle. You can see our raffle is a big part of our contributed revenue. But I'd be remiss if I didn't point out how important both the membership and the donations are. It doesn't matter if that's a small slice of the pie up there or not. It's a really important part of the pie. I don't know that I've done as good a job as I should making sure you all know how much we appreciate that. Because we wouldn't exist without all of you and your donations and your support. So truly thank you for all of that. As I said, we're going to have a check presentation at the end of this meeting, and we actually have 2 more tomorrow. It means a lot to us that when your clubs are doing the hard work of having a car show, doing donation drives, whatever it is you're doing, that you consider the museum a place that you want your hard-earned money to go. That's really important and very much appreciated. All right, some other exciting stuff that I wanted to tell you about. If you haven't had a chance to go through the museum, make sure that you do. There's a couple new things that have happened. So I'm sure we all remember that it's been 10 years now, actually 11 years since the sinkhole. We had the exhibit that showed all of that, but it was starting to show a little wear, needed some updating. Realizing that and knowing that we wanted to tell the story a little bit differently and being able to focus on recovery, as well as recognizing that our Hall of Fame doesn't give us as much chance to interact with our Hall of Famers and their story as we would like, we made a couple changes. Now, first of all, the banners are still in the Sky Dome. They're not going away. But we have created a Hall of Fame on the ground, so to speak, where you can literally walk through a hallway, and there are etchings isn't the word. What's the word I want, Bryce, for the plaques? Thank you. That match the banners. There's also interactive TV screens in there so that you can choose an area and you can learn about someone. There are 4 cases that will be there as well. Those will be used to highlight the newest inductees into that year's Hall of Fame. And if there happens to be 3 versus 4, then we'll use that 4th case for something else. I'm going to show you some pictures in a minute. I have to tell you guys, when the team told me we wanted to do this, I thought, okay, what's this going to look like? And Bryce took me through it on Tuesday, it took my breath away. It's so beautiful, and it's just, I hope that it does justice to the importance of the Hall of Fame and to all the people that are in it, because it's amazing. And it gives you a chance to see the pictures up close and not have to go and like this in the Sky Dome, which, like I said, those are not going away, but just a little bit more of a chance to interact. We didn't take the sinkhole completely away. We just changed the way we're telling that story. So you're going to see a picture of that in a minute as well. There's a car that will be on display that'll be rotated out every 6 months probably, along with a video to talk about the sinkhole. There's also a timeline there that shows the recovery for what we've done and how we've moved forward from that. So I definitely encourage you to go take a look at that. We're hoping that there will be an opening for that in this summer, and it should be ready to display the new Hall of Fame members at the anniversary, which, if you want to hear who's being inducted, be sure you come on Friday to hear that announcement. So here's some of the pictures. You can see on the left is the sinkhole exhibit that was there, and now on the right you can see the new picture. And as I mentioned, you can see the screens. Those will be interactive, so you can touch those. And the plaques are divided into the 3 categories. And as you walk down the hallway, it opens up right into the Sky Dome. There will be a special car at the end of that hallway. I'm going to keep that a secret till it's actually revealed, but that's something that will live permanently there to help tell our story and maintain the legacy of the Corvette. Couple more pictures. You can see the emblems, you can see the plaques. And then this is what we've reimagined for the sinkhole. So like I said, you can see in the backdrop the timeline, really that story of resiliency and giving Robert and the collections team a chance to switch out those cars to change up the story. So there's always something new to see when you come back to the museum. It's also going to be an opportunity for us to have our partners in the museum refresh their story. So Western States, NCRS, and NCCC have had cases in this area where the car now is held that tells their story and their connection to the museum. We have tasked the representatives on the board from those 3 organizations to come up with new artifacts that they want put in the new cases. Deb tells me that figuring out 60 years narrowed down into a small curio glass cabinet's not the easiest thing to do for NCCC. I'm sure the same is true for NCRS and Western States. But we wanted to make sure we continued to highlight that relationship and let that story be told because it's so important to the story of the museum. All right. Thank you for listening to all of those updates. Now I'm going to have the board come up. They're going to introduce themselves, and then we will do a Q&A. If you have questions, raise your hand. Someone will come to you with the microphone so you can ask the questions. Can we turn off the screen so the board isn't sitting with the lights right in their face, please? Or turn the lights up so people can see us.
Good morning. I'm Michael Araka. I am serving as the chair-elect. I also chair the operations and nominating committees. And I'm from New York, a Corvette lover, and I'm happy to be here.
Chuck Fast from the great state of Florida, and I've been on the board for 7 years now, and I'm also on the holding company.
Norm Rose. I come out from California. Western States Corvette Council is my home.
Tim McMichael, I'm out of Colorado. I really deal with the education side of the center here, but that's not what I'm on. More on the contributed revenue side, and I enjoy that most of all.
Can you guys hear them? As I say, either maybe closer to your mouth, or do we need to turn the mics up? It's pretty quiet.
I'm Tim McMichael. Okay, there we go. Everybody in the back? Good, okay. I live in Colorado. We also own a place out here, so we like to come out here when we have the board stuff. I serve on the Contributive Revenue Committee, which I enjoy a ton, and I love the fact that the Education Center is going gangbusters. It's lovely to see, actually. There was 101 kids came through on Monday, which was pretty amazing. If you haven't been here when they come through there, it's a pretty amazing deal. So.
Hi, I'm Deb Murphy, and I am the representative for National Council and CCC, and I've been on the board. This is my second year. My second time around, I was a mere child when I was on the board before.
Yeah, I got my own microphone. Thank you. No, my name is Kai Spandy. Been on the board for over 10 years now, so at this point, the longest standing board member. I have went through the ranks and served as the chair. My role right now is the past chair, so I just got to hang around with the cool people still award, which I really
We let him
appreciate.
stay.
What's that?
We let you stay.
We let me stay. But I also am responsible chair the Revenue Committee, and I love the museum. Still live in Bowling Green, so I'm out and about. Good to see you all.
Hello, my name is Neil Watanabe. I've been on the board for 5 years. I serve as treasurer for the museum, and I also chair the finance committee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ken Lingenfelder. I'm the owner of Lingenfelder Performance Engineering. 52 years old this year, believe it or not. And I'm really, truly honored to be on this board. When I got the opportunity, it really set me back to think that I'm a part of this whole thing. So I'm got a great group of members I'm working with here and board members, and so I'm very, very anxious to play a big part in the way this museum goes forward. So my wife is the racer in the family now. You may see her on social media. She's doing extremely well in NCCC and SCCA and always in a Corvette. So I think everybody'd like to hear that too. But anyway, thank you all. Glad to see you all. I hope we get a chance to talk while I'm here. Thank you.
Good morning, Dan Costello. I live here in Bowling Green. I'm superintendent of Logan County Schools, which is about 30 miles from here. Should not be any surprise. I'm serving on the Education Committee as part of the board. I've been on for a little over a year and really enjoy it. It's a great opportunity to learn from these who have a few more years of experience. Corvette enthusiasts, something I've always been interested in, always tinker with old cars and just really enjoy it. And it's a great opportunity for my son and I to bond. You'll probably see him around the next couple of days. But it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate this board and appreciate you all.
All right, my name is Ray Terrio, and I run a small business at the other end of Corvette Drive, where we make Corvettes. So, yeah.
Clearly, we all have jokes this morning, as you can tell. We have a couple board members that couldn't be here for the meeting this morning. As I said, Amy Masika is our GM representative, and she's on her way. Glenn Johnson is at home being a mayor in Port Neches, so he couldn't join us, but was on the call yesterday. Mark Stilo, also working for GM. I believe he said he was back in the country yesterday, but I don't know how long that would be true, because he's always traveling. And then Dale Ledbetter, secretary of the board, had to leave this morning unexpectedly. So, did I forget anybody, you guys? Okay. Oh, Vito, thank you. Vito Simaluka, who is the representative from NCRS. He had a family wedding that he had to go back for. So that's the board. And I just want to take the time to tell all of you thank you for all of your help and support for this past year and a half, and looking forward to what comes in the future. All right, this is your time. We want to open it up for questions.
Good morning. Is it on? Okay. Thank you, board, for doing the most important thing you've done since we lost Wendell, and that is appointing Bryce as your new staff leader. My name is John Elegant. I'm not talking about the Mid-Engine Corvette Forum this morning, but about us. I'm a 27-year member with my wonderful wife, Ann, and we'd like to, and this is not my idea, but we'd like to challenge the board to move in a slightly new direction, and that is we are your members. We own Corvettes. We live the life that you also live. And we challenge you to consider that as the next three, first off, commendations to Ken and Amy for joining. But as the next three board members leave the board, that we as members collectively nominate and therefore become the three next membership members of the board. So we are better represented in the decisions made by the National Corvette Museum. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. If you are interested in being considered as a board member, there is basically Mr. LaRocca that you need to get in touch with. He's in charge of the nominating committee. And then there's a process that goes through the nominating committee. So we would welcome interested applications for anyone who wants to be part of the board. Go ahead. Gary?
I was just wondering, I appreciate the financial disclosures that you guys have made and everything, and I was just wondering how many millions we got in the bank, and are there earmarked for anything in particular?
So I want to make sure I heard that. You're asking how much money we had in the bank and if it's earmarked for anything in particular. Neil, I'm going to look to you for that. He's our treasurer, keeps track of the funds along with Andy and the financial team.
I'm pleased to report that the museum has probably one of the strongest balance sheets over the 5 years that I've been here. Last year we paid off the loan that we had with U.S. Bank that was used to finance something, so we're currently debt-free. And after paying, which I think is quite phenomenal. I don't think since I've been here we didn't have some level of debt, so we were able to pay that off. We were also able to, between our investments and our cash, between both the holding corp and the museum, ended up with close to $27 million, which compared to last year was a little less, but we also paid down close to $6 million in debt. So I think from that perspective, we've positioned ourselves to, kind of hold our powder dry. We have a committee and a capital process the board just approved for any improvements that require an ROI over a certain dollar limit. So we're going to be very judicious about, where we spend, our available funds. And Andy has done a great job also creating various facilities for loans and with local bank as well as our U.S. banks, so that we have plenty of capacity, to be able to, once approved by the board, expand appropriately. I hope that answered the question. It varies. It's a great question. Most companies have a minimum hurdle rate for
Neil,
approval.
could you
We have
repeat
some, repairs and maintenance things that we have to do that sometimes you can't ROI. But on a case-by-case basis, we are evaluating, both net present value, ROI, and clearly it goes through an approval process in the board for anything substantial. So but yes, that has been introduced, a whole concept of, meeting a minimum ROI on investments over $25,000.
That was the second question. That was.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any immediate or in the next couple of years plans for any building facilities, hotels, car collection storage, or what have you.
So no hotels. I'm going to take a page from GM and say there's always growth being considered.
Tom Wallace here. Great work on the increase in membership. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Do we track the average age of the members, and is it coming down for a lot of obvious reasons like the C8, et cetera? We're seeing that in our clubs. We're seeing it other places. And I'm curious, do we track that and work on that? Because some of us, our hair is very gray, and we want some young ones.
I was going to say, I'm going to have Miss Andrea speak to that if she will, once Ray talks.
I was just going to say that this board's super smart, and we know when to defer to an expert.
Appreciate that. We do not currently track the age of our members. It had been in the past, but some of you have known when you go into your membership link on the member side of the site, it shows a crazy birth date. And so you all give us a little email or call and say, please correct my birth date. So we are working on that, but we are gearing things towards the next generation in addition to supporting our current membership. So that is an initiative that our membership team is taking on head first. Working on some new ways to engage that younger group. We are seeing them. A lot of our new lifetime members are people who are just new to the Corvette community, go on our website and are buying it right off the store. So they're not even coming to events and meeting all of us before they make that purchase. So we are seeing that shift slowly, but we're working on increasing that daily.
Good morning.
George.
I'm George Saprell, a former board member of this wonderful organization. Two questions. One is, in the past, being on the board, I'd like to see the holding companies split out between the motorsport park and the insurance, just to see the numbers.
Their financials.
Yeah, the financials.
So with that being a private company, we always report it as a consolidated report because with it being a private company, we don't share that publicly.
I understand that. In the past, we did. My main question is, about 15 years ago, we actually had a concerted effort to have an in-house succession plan for, at that time, an executive director. This time, CEO, president, independent of what the name is. Would you guys really consider having an in-house succession plan? Not to say that that's what actually happens, but most major corporations, and we are a major kind of corporation. I know we're an educational foundation, believe me, I know that. I think it would be a good idea. Call it a back pocket thing. You know, you want to go out there and find somebody that's really wonderful in the world. You can always do that, but things happen. And having an in-house succession plan, even if it's a short period of time because you want to go find somebody more illustrious, I think would be a very smart thing to do.
We completely agree, George. That was actually a topic of conversation in the board meeting yesterday. So Bryce, you have to start identifying your successor. But I don't, that is not intended to be a joke, but it is something that we started talking about. Every opportunity is a chance to learn something, and that's certainly something we've learned in the most recent process. Somebody else had a hand up over here.
GM is a for-profit organization protecting intellectual property and market share by withholding information about future product. Why are we withholding information about future product?
Because I don't have enough information to share with you yet to make it a good answer.
Okay.
Since it's the second time that came up, I'd like to just add a little bit. Past the fact that we have for-profit businesses and just there's no obligation legally to share that, I would just have everybody in the room think about this. Adam's in the back. Do we all think that a company like Hagerty, the direct competitor to, in this case, our insurance agency, do you think that they would like to see the nuts and bolts of how that business is running and performing? And this is where we draw the line. And I'm sorry.
I think he's asking about our nonprofit and like building
Oh.
plans or future projects.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So there are projects in the works, but they're not at a place where I have enough information to share with the membership what that all looks like.
And at the risk of jumping back in, it's like there is a tremendous amount of information. Kay goes through a synopsis, and we've been using a very similar synopsis for multiple years. If one would be super interested, the 990 forms that we have to submit have a tremendous amount of information. It's historical, but if you wanted to know when we submit our taxes, it's very, very in-depth. And so while we couldn't go through the level of detail that would satisfy everybody, because it's like dropping that little pachinko ball, you might be interested in this little thing over here and somebody's listed over there. If we went through that, we would be here. Even as a board, we don't maybe get into that level of detail. It might be very, very difficult. But if you have one specific thing, it is public record. Search National Corvette Museum, nonprofit tax disclosures, and there's a plethora of information. You'd be shocked at. I've done it a number of times, and there's a ton of information if you're interested.
Other questions? Thank you all, and we're going to bring up the Queen City Club for their check presentation.
So, Kate.
Oh, sorry.
Before we do that, I just want to take a moment for myself and maybe on behalf of the board to thank you, because it hasn't actually been this, I would say, an easy time to serve as board chair, but you've done a marvelous job keeping us all together and delivering the results that you shared today, which are stunning results for the museum. I think this group heard a number of times best position that the museum has ever been in. So thank you very much for your leadership over this period as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a wild and crazy year. Okay, let's bring up our Queen City folks. You guys can have a seat. Thank you. Bryce, you want to come up as well, please? Let's bring a microphone up. You guys can tell us a little bit about your event and what you raised. Like, you can either go up on stage or in front of the stage, however you want to do it. This is your time. Oh. Yeah, why don't you have some come up front, some in front of the stage here, so we can get everybody in pictures. Oh, are we going to present it to Bryce? Yeah, he's over there, and if you guys want to tell us a little bit about the event and.
All right, Kay, thank you. I'm Ron Burst. I'm the president of the Queen City Corvette Club. We're very excited and happy to be able to make this presentation to the museum. Move down here a little bit. We've got a lot of people in our members in our club that are museum members, and we got a drive on right now to try to increase that. We want to increase the membership. Last year at the Caravan, there was another club that came up here and presented Kay in the museum a check and kind of got an idea going. We took it back to the board. They approved it. So we're here to make a presentation and a check to the museum. And where's Dick? Oh, yeah, here he is. Dick is our Corvette Museum ambassador.
And this is from your car show in October, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So in October 18th at the Hendrick Motorsports Complex, we have our annual car show. This will be the 14th annual. Last year we had 823 Corvettes there. This year we'll probably have the same, at least. And everyone's welcome. Kay, what came last year? I think she saw the big picture there.
It was pretty cool. I mean, the Black Hills Classic's pretty big, but seeing it all laid out on the Hendricks campus, that was impressive.
That's right. It's at the Hendrick Motorsports campus where the race shops are, the team store, and Rick Hendrick's private museum is there. And you can tour the race shops, the engine shop, and the Rick Hendrick's Museum for a donation, and about 250 of the most beautiful cars you've ever seen.
I will certainly say the additional occupants in the cars at your show was kind of entertaining. I walked by one that had skeletons sitting in it. There's a few others. So the creativity of seeing what people bring to a car show to show off not only their car, but their hobby is always a lot of fun.
Just to add, I brought brochures, and we're hoping Bryce and any other board member attends this year in October. So we'll give you information. It was great to see Kay there. And,
thank you.
There's a lot of hills, so it kept going, you want a golf cart? No, I'm going to walk this place. Thank you. Okay, giving this to Bryce.
So for Bryce, you can see that, but thank you very much for the donation of $5,000 from the Queen City Corvette Club.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And we have 2 more check presentations tomorrow from other clubs, so please be around for those. Thank you all. If you have other questions or you want to talk to the board, we'll be up at the front.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.